I don't have any issues with Applejack.
This will be my first fanfiction reading on a My Little Pony fanfiction called The Rainbow Effect by Aquarium Poet on fanfiction.net. Let's just begin. Chapter 1. Wind and Leaves. It was so gorgeous. Celestia's legacy lightly bathed the outskirts of Ponyville. The green hills seemed to flow with the rippling waves as the summer breeze fluttered along the lively clearing. Butterflies spread out among the clusters of flowers, unaware of the portrait to which they paid homage. A life of color to the wondrous sight. The trees spread their shadows, and one was more than likely to see a squirrel or a rabbit snoozing away the sunny day underneath them. It was the picture-perfect lazy day in the lovely month of May, after all. But a single leaf riding in the wind, trailing the air in a dazzling display of flips and turns, weaving in and out of the eddying winds, soaring faster and faster, so seemingly out of place in such a serene setting, and finally coming to a rest, in the brim of the hat of one Applejack. Oh, for hate's sake, she's got a rainbow for a mane! Still scoring the size for any side of her feathered friend, Applejack just couldn't find hair or hoof of Rainbow Dash amidst the many Pegasus ponies that dutifully he had moving the clouds around all morning long. She was about to pull the reins on her little operation when she heard someone talking behind her. And then I pulled up with the 3 ponies on my back. The ground was so close the grass caught on fire. Whoosh! I know Pony and Equestria can tell their tales in such a span, she thought. Said maybe that Trixie girl. Trixie! Applejack looked up behind her, and could see a spill of rainbow suspended over the edge of a cloud, 2 arms dramatically waving in the air. 3 blonde mares were hovering just above them, their oohs and ahs in perfect synchronization. Applejack shook her head fondly, glad that her goose hunt was over, even if her quarry was already full of stuffing. "Hey, Rainbow!" she called out. Rainbow Dash let out a small and sat up, turning around to look down towards her friend. "Oh, hey, Applejack, what's up?" she called, soaring off the top of the cloud and down towards the ground. The 3 girls all frowned with a humph, and left to help the other ponies move the clouds. Applejack blinked, her well-prepared speech about laziness and forgetting every other pony darn thing died in her throat, unable to keep from watching the bright blue pony descend from atop her cloud, and sleek wings stretched out in all their feathered glory, her colored mane waving wildly behind her. The way her smile, Applejack, you're looking kinda red. You okay?" Applejack nearly jumped, but kept footing, settling for looking away with a blush. "Well, shoot, I've been looking for you all morning. Just a little sunburn is all, plus the sunshine in my eyes don't help none," she replied, squinting her eyes for effect. Rainbow Dash frowned for a second, then retook her ever-victorious grin. Applejack let out an inward sigh of relief. "Y'all remember what tomorrow is, don't ya?" she asked. "Yeah, tomorrow's Twilight's birthday. Where's that to—" "Oh, yeah." She trailed off, looking suddenly sheepish. Applejack rolled her eyes. "I've been setting up preparations and everything all by myself. Fluttershy's too busy with sick animals today. Pinkie Pie's spending all day making the cake, and Granny's got her frou-frou dress. This guy coming over for some big project she's been working on. I need a little help," she responded weakly. Yeah. Let me just tell the guys upstairs that I'll be too busy to be helping the downpour for this month. I'll meet you back at the barn in 10 minutes. Flat?" Applejack threw in, smirking. Applejack rolled her eyes, scowling, and took out a flash color as Applejack galloped off with a light chuckle, leaf still tucked in the brim. Piece by piece, snip by snip, crop duck haunch, shoulders, hip. Though the numerous stands of clothing in the Carousel boutique, one would be hard-pressed to see the lovely unicorn through the window, softly singing as she gathered a number of dresses from one of the racks, laying them on a table next next to her self-enchanted sewing machine. But then, some ponies don't always show up just for a look. Rarity! AppleJack nearly shouted as she burst through the door, causing the laboring lady to shriek, her red-rimmed glasses flung into the air and sending her tumbling onto another table of linens, cloth flying everywhere in a dazzlingly terrifying display. AppleJack looked more than a hand dog as Rarity fumbled around under a large green roll of cloth, until flinging it off dramatically, leveling AppleJack with a look of her own. AppleJack, what are you doing? Frightening me in the middle of my work. I don't have time for such nonsense. Hoity-toity is going to be here in a few hours too. Rarity, just barge in here like you own the boutique, as if Rarity should really get the enchantment for the entryway that keeps you ruffians from flinging my new polished doors. Rarity! What? Frog, AppleJack simply replied, looking a little worn. Rarity blinked, slowly looked up to her horn, where a plump green frog had perched itself, croaking quietly. Pupils shrinking, Rarity inhaled a large breath while AppleJack slowly slid her hat down to cover her tears. And I just came down to get the ribbons and streamers for the party. Didn't mean to scare you like that. Oh, don't worry about it, darling. Everything's all cleaned up, and I wouldn't want to keep Rainbow Dash waiting any longer. You know how impatient she can be, Rarity calmly replied, magicking the basket of items for the party off a shelf in front of AppleJack. Yeah. Wouldn't want to keep her waiting any longer, she stammered, bowing her head and feeling her face heat up. Rarity stared at AppleJack for a moment. AppleJack, dear, you look a little flushed. Are you all right? AppleJack did jump this time, nearly tripping over a basket. Yeah, I'm fine. Just a little sun-dried, she adoringly replied, mentally kicking herself. Rarity let a small smile grace her features, turning away and trotting toward the back. Oh, don't trouble yourself. Sit right there, and I'll be back with some water. You must be parched, she called out, disappearing behind the dress rack. I could use some water right now. AppleJack let herself slump to the floor, more out of nerves than exhaustion. Good God, I've got to get a grip on myself. If Rarity expected that I had a thing for Rainbow, it'd be all over Equestria by now. Why, I'd have to pack a bag of apples and move on into the ever-free forest. Of course, or I'd probably hear it from Twilight by then, so then I'd gracious must be exhausted. You're not even listening to a word I'm saying, cried Rarity, shaking AppleJack out of her thoughts. Oh no, I was just admiring your carpet. Smooth. Y'all sure do have a fine taste in your flooring, don't you know? She pointed out with an exaggerated gesture of the hoof while grabbing the floating teacup from Rarity, whose eyes seemed to sparkle for a moment. Well, thank you, AppleJack. I did have it imported from Canterlot, made by the very same pony who provides the carpeting inside the royal castle. Why, it's even the same material, though in a much lighter shade of periwinkle. I must love what it does to the place. It's so magnificent. It really brings up the curtains around the... AppleJack? She glanced behind her, barely catching the swinging of the deep purple door, ending in a merry click. Rarity shook her head. Oh well, so much to do for the both of us, I suppose. I must admit I never held AppleJack as a pony who knew an apple's worth of interior designing. Giggling at her pun, she turned around to face the frog, now caught in a large glass jar, simply simmering. And you are going to sit there until I finish my tailoring. Honestly, pet fashion is pushing my limits as it is, but a suit for a frog, please, not much I can do to make you look any better. If it wasn't hoity-toity that... The frog merely puffed out its cheeks as Rarity continued her rant, either out of pride or indignation. AppleJack had raced into the barn as fast as she could, skidding to a halt as hay flew off the ground across the floor. Rainbow? Y'all in here? Ah, horseshoes! She probably went out looking for it. Yeah! Shoof! That was totally an awesome yell. Her back now throbbing, and a low groan coming from her throat. The ponytail mirror opened her eyes. Though her slightly fuzzy vision, she could see a blue leg dangling in front of her face, all tangled up in an array of colorful ribbons. Eyes widening, she helplessly let gaze trail upwards as to where her leg was, bent to the left, and still on upwards to her rainbow tail, arced up in and outward, giving her a perfect, not-so-fuzzy view of Rainbow Dash's candy apples! She yelled, flinging the trussed-up pony into the air, who cried out in shock until landing in a haystack with a small oof. Applejack nearly passed out right then, whether from standing up so fast or other reasons. She couldn't really tell. She was trembling so badly, she didn't even notice that her hat had fallen off and landed near the barn door. A rustling to the right brought her back to reality, and she trotted, in a funny way, over to Rainbow Dash, who was struggling to get out of her multicolored vines with a little luck. Help me out of here, Applejack! I can't get loose! She hollered through the tousled mane, unable to break free from the streamers. 3 of her legs were tied together, and one wing was fixed to her side by a large purple ribbon, one leg waving frantically through the air. Despite her trembling knees, sweat-stained mane, and flustered face, Applejack couldn't help but chuckle a bit. Well, at least I found you without too much trouble this time. Though I'll admit it, that I thought y'all was colorful enough before, she snickered lightly, looking down at Rainbow, who stopped her struggling long enough to give Applejack a little glare. She returned with a mischievous smile, suddenly thinking of all the payback she could give her filly friend. You know, I'm thinking I could have a little fun with you before I let you loose. Rainbow Dash suddenly went stock still, her face now obstructed by her rainbow name. What do you mean by fun? Applejack smirked and froze as the double meaning of her words hit her. This wasn't what she had in mind. She shook her head fiercely. So much for that. Then reached down and pulled a single ribbon. Immediately, the knot of decorations loosened from around her legs, and Rainbow Dash shook them free. Sorry, just so tired. Then, immediately went to work on releasing her wing. Applejack gave a strange smile as she turned toward the door. Well, we don't really have time for fooling around with all the decorations we need to lasso about this place, so, never mind. I'll get you back later. She noticed that Rainbow Dash had gone quiet, still trying to free her wing from the purple ribbon, her hair still covering her face. Applejack took a step forward, worried that she may have upset her friend. Y'all okay? Rainbow? She hesitated. Rainbow Dash finally got her wing free, and flapping it a few times to shake off the ribbon. She turned to Applejack, flinging her hair back with a quick jerk of her neck. Applejack saw that she was smiling, though her eyes seemed slightly narrowed, and her pupils a bit larger. She probably just got some hay bothering her eyes or something, she thought. Yeah, I'm cool, Rainbow Dash replied, a little shakily. Applejack let out a breath through her nose. She didn't know what she was holding. Alright then, I'm gonna head over to Roseluck's botanical and pick up some of the violet roses Rarity wanted me to get for her decorations. She says she had something planned for them or something. I'll be back in soon, so keep up her eyes swept over the bare pillars of the barn and leaning back on Rainbow Dash, a mess of colored bunting around her. Good work, and I'll see you all later, she called, running out of the door or at something close to a gallop. Rainbow Dash shrugged and went to pick up the streamers and something caught her attention. Whoa, what was that? What's that smell? Oh man, it smells so good. It really makes me... Her eyes trailed toward the door Applejack had left from. Hungry! I haven't eaten anything all morning, and I'm in the mood for some apples. I wonder if the Apple family started lunch yet. Rainbow Dash chirped while jogging toward the exit, completely unaware of the burning sensation in her face, and the hat that lay in front of the door.